Okay, let's start with at the beginning. I would have thought Genesis in the case of the Bible. Um, Now, the scientific point of view about Genesis is that it's just one Middle Eastern creation myth, Bronze Age Middle Eastern creation myth, and yeah, yeah, this is true. Absolutely, it's one among many. There's the Sumerian, there's the Babylonian, there's the Egyptian, there's Greek. They're all there, and they're all clamoring to be taken seriously, of course. um, all of these religions had creation myths. Um, and the reason for this is fairly obvious. It's that we as human beings need some kind of context. We need for our own peace of mind to know where we came from. We want to know what we're doing here. We want to know what the purpose of us being here is. We want to know why shit happens, and how we should behave. And creation myths give us a sort of uh, picture of how, in an eggshell, in a nutshell, how, why, and how. Now, the modern scientific equivalent of the creation myth, you would think, would be the Big Bang Theory, since what this does is explain how the world came into being, and it it is, yes, and it's the Big Bang Theory is, as far as we can tell, all right, not in every detail, but in terms of the depths of time the universe has been around, in terms of the evolution of life from simple to complex, in terms of um, how and why geological, morphological structures came into being. All of these things are explained by the scientific creation view. If you include evolution and plate tectonics, volcanism, deep age of the earth, these sort of things. The picture that we're taught at school. Brilliant. So, we can forget about Genesis. We've got a scientific creation myth instead. Unfortunately, not. Because, as I mentioned, the point of a creation myth is to provide us with a context, it's to provide us with meaning, it's to provide us with a thread that will go through our lives explaining what's happening. And the scientific view does none of that. It's not meant to do any of that. The whole point of science is that you discard any idea of an exoteric meaning. You just ask the question of how physically something happened. That's all you're concerned about, cause and effect. You're not concerned about questions of worth, whether this is better than the other. There is no suggestion in the scientific viewpoint, as espoused by real scientists, that humans are worth any more than dinosaurs. The world of mammals is no better scientifically than the world of reptiles, or indeed than the world of stromatolites and algal mats. These are all scientifically of the same worth. And there is no meaning scientifically. There can be no meaning scientifically because science does away with all questions of meaning. All it's asking is how. As such, our scientific creation myth is a wonderful thing. It answers how and what exactly happened. It's the truth. It's the historical, actual fact, as close as we can get at the moment, and it will get better. But it absolutely fails to answer the question as to why. And Genesis does answer these questions in its own style. For instance, we can see that according to Genesis, the purpose of mankind is as a steward of the earth. That's what we're here for. God put us here to name the animals and to look after the Garden of Eden. There are answers to the question, the problem of physical pain and struggle. It's a curse because of God, of our disobedience to God. Okay, so all of these things are explained, and are also explained by other Bronze Age Middle Eastern creation myths. So why believe in the Genesis account and not the account of Ra, the sun god? Well, apart from historical reasons, if you compare them, the Genesis account is different from the others. All of the other ones talk about a struggle, a power struggle, the creation of the present world out of chaos. If you look at, say, Tiamat, and how the world was created from her belly being ripped open. Or there's the Greek one where Zeus and the other gods rebelled against the older gods before them. They all talk about power struggles. They all talk about how the world was created out of rebellion, and Genesis also addresses rebellion. The unique thing about Genesis is that the rebellion failed, and God is still God. In Genesis, the rebellion's a sin, and this is different. Genesis talks about a loving God who created the world and said it was good. So the world is not intrinsically evil, as it is in the case of Tiamat, where it's created out of a dead carcass of a chaos god. It's intrinsically good, and this is essential to a good creation myth. This is why, one of the main reasons why Judeo-Christianity is intrinsically a good religion, and one that I believe in, is because of the power of this creation myth. It's so different. It's so it points to a good world rather than a broken world, even if the people in it are not so good. So, personally, I am not averse to believing Genesis as a creation myth, as something to give me a framework to base my judgments about what's happening to me and the world around me. It is phenomenally useful in a way that, of course, evolution and plate tectonics cannot possibly be, because they don't speak to me as a human. Genesis does, and it helps, and it's true in a metaphorical, mythological sense.